Libra, hello. Happy New Year. How are you doing? Welcome to Coffee, Sage, and Tarot. For this January check-in, we're actually going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the overall vibe for 2026, major challenge, how you can overcome that, what you should be leaving behind, as well as anything that Spirit needs you to know as we head into this new year. It is finally here. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at your energy in 2026. There we go. Oh, there's two. The Moon and the Three of Pentacles. Interesting. Six of Cups. So I feel like this was starting to become more and more of a theme for you, Libra, or at least the Libra that I read for, toward the end of 2025, is that doing something scary, starting something new here, because it fulfills you, or doing something from a place of it being fulfilling as opposed to something that you're just good at, something you feel you're obligated to do, is something, these kinds of things. It's almost like you were struggling with denying some part of you for the greater good. So I'm just kind of looking in your shadow here, and it does feel like you're trying to be in the present, trying to be in the present moment and take this, I want to say take this head on, but like, how does that fit into this? But just trying to be in the present moment and take this head on. Let's go ahead and see what cards come up for you here. What should Libra leave behind? That's too many. What should Libra leave behind, please? Thank you. That makes sense. Obstacle. Obstacle, please. Thank you. Yeah. Again, makes sense. Overcome. Thank you. Need to know. How many is that? We'll do it. Okay. All right. And I'm just taking a look in the shadow here. I'm wondering if for some of you there's like a traditional role or obligation that you've been asked to hold, and there's some aspect of that that is not fulfilling you in the way that it should be, or it feels like you're not, it's holding you back from something. Or for others, I wonder if it's the opposite of that, where you just want something that you can rely on. You want some sort of traditional role that you can rely on, and it just feels like that would give you the best kind of feeling, and it's kind of been one thing to the other, and you've kind of been like rolling downhill, and all we want is that stability here. So I'm definitely seeing it presenting both ways, but kind of this idea of like it's not been working. I feel that there is this pain that's been contained for some time. It's like well contained here. And with that Judgment card showing up in the shadow, Libra, what we're speaking on here, it feels, I mean, obviously foundational. There's an awakening here. Perhaps there has been a moment that's, you know, or it like there was a moment for you that you feel kind of ever since then you can't ignore this, or like that started the train and now the train can't stop. And so we're thinking like, how can we take action in this new way, in this new world, doing this new thing kind of idea, okay? And again, just speaking on the cups that are here, it does feel like there's a strong tie to what we feel, emotional connection, not just what we're good at, not just what we were told we should do, not just what we feel we should be doing, right? So anyway, let's get into it here. Leaving behind that Two of Wands energy, right? So this is a Libra card, so leaving some aspect of you behind as well. This idea of trying to be diplomatic, this idea of hesitating, this idea of not really knowing which way to go, this idea of not engaging perhaps in the way that we need to, right? As the two becomes the three. There's this idea of duality, right? Keeping ourselves at kind of arm's length here. And then once the two becomes that three, this idea, it becomes, we're opening ourselves up to others. We're opening ourselves up to a third person or a second perspective, right? We're inviting others to view our work, what we're doing, almost inviting them, opening ourselves up for other people to have an opinion, right? And then do we become swayed by that opinion? Right? Do we get distracted by other things? You know, that kind of idea here. But with that Two of Swords, again, it's all of that. But it feels like we need to leave behind this idea that we just can't do nothing, and that we can no longer ignore this pull, this desire to do something new, even though it is scary, but something that we need to give to ourselves. We need to give that emotional connection, or we need to seek that emotional connection, you know, and give that to ourselves, right? And how we do that is different, right? We can give to ourselves by giving to others, by giving to our children, by giving to our family, but just living in a more heart-centered or heart-focused way. The challenge is what you're giving yourself to, what you're giving your time to, your energy. How are you living your life? What priorities do you have? What are you putting first? And as well, what are you willing to receive? Right? It's not only about what we give, but what we receive. Are we turning some things away? Are we ignoring some things from the universe that you know, keep kind of coming and pushing, and we're kind of saying no, but really, are those things meant for us, right? When we ignore, when we sit on the fence, when we have that blindfold on, we're not picking up things that we should. We're not seeing clearly. We're not seeing it all, right? And so how can you discern what you're giving to or what you're receiving? Yeah, very interesting here. How to overcome this idea of balancing, and having that balance in your day-to-day life here. 10 of Cups on its upside down. Again, it just feels like challenging this idea of what we should have versus or want versus what we actually want. Right? And perhaps this 10 of Cups, it's been such a repeating pattern for you, Libra. This 10 of Cups, this ideal, is 2026 the year where you finally kind of say, what I had in mind is not what I wanted, or what I thought I wanted isn't actually what I want. Interesting. Need to know here, that 8 of Cups and the 4 of Cups. It's funny because this speaks on engagement. And then up here, I'm wondering if this is like, what you've been doing. Is just isolating yourself more and more and more and more and pulling away more and more and more and more and more. Because we're scared to take this step, to branch into that 3 of Pentacles, right? Let's go ahead and get some clarifiers here for this 2 of Swords for Libra. Thank you. All right, 2 of Swords here. We have the Moon, we have 4 of Pentacles, and we have that King of Wands. So really interesting energy here, right? Again, with this idea, 2 of Swords, hesitating, and really holding on to what we have, right? So again, it feels like perhaps there's this fear of, well, we don't want to change anything because we don't want to lose what we already have. So this idea of operating from fear-based mindset, scarcity mindset, right? And afraid to take on anything that's too unknown or too unpredictable because we don't want to lose our standing, lose our position, lose our seniority, kind of whatever it is here. Right? And so perhaps we've been, the energy that we've been giving to that king, right? We've been showing up from this this kind of mindset that's been holding us back and engaging in a way that really isn't healthy for us or the people that we surround ourselves with, right? And it's kind of this closed off energy, this scarcity energy, that perhaps you've been really defensive, really guarded, and so feeling like everybody's trying to attack you here, and so you've been, perhaps a little bit short-wick or just looking for enemies in everyone kind of idea, short-tempered, but it's or irritable even. But it's really this idea that we don't want to exist here anymore. And so it's almost like there's this, we're taking it out on everybody else, the fact that we don't really feel good where we are and we don't know how to move beyond that, right? Our time has come in this energy here. We're done. And I feel like you feel that. And I feel like you've been feeling that for some time. And it's just, how do we move on and make change happen here? And resign ourselves to the fact that we're going to be tired and exhausted and, all of these things, because this new thing where we want to be takes work, but it takes a different kind of work. And it means more, so it's that much scarier kind of idea here. Interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Six of Pentacles. Show me that six. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So Six of Pentacles, right? The challenge. What do we give to? How do we give? How do we receive? Queen of Wands, the Tower, Seven of Cups. Again, that cup energy showing up, right? So it just really speaks on that emotional component here. How you feel fulfilled. And whether or not you're giving that to yourself or allowing yourself to receive that fulfillment in ways that matter to you, right? Even just the idea or the acceptance of, needing that fulfillment or desiring that fulfillment, right? That emotional component seems hard. So we have here the Queen of, like I said, the Queen of Wands, the Tower, the Seven of Cups with the 9, and there you are. Yeah. Okay, look at this shadow here, right? The Nine of Wands, you, Justice, Page of Swords, Chariot, Knight of Cups, Strength, Six of Cups. Again, it's this idea of we're stressed out. We are stressed out. How do we stand in the present moment and carry what we want to carry and be intentional about moving forward in a direction that keeps us engaged, but also honest with ourselves about what we want in order to stand in that truth and allow ourselves to receive connection and be connected to people in a way that truly matters, right? Not just a surface level connection that you can have with anybody, but how can you cultivate this idea of true connection with your loved ones, the people that matter to you, where you feel lifted up and you're lifting others up, right? And that requires a sense of vulnerability here, that it feels like perhaps in one way or another you're scared to go into that place. And here with this Six of Pentacles here, there's some sort of, so yes, there's a Tower moment, and perhaps this has happened or it's kind of building up to happen. But it's, you kind of, Libra, do have that Queen of Wands energy a little bit, right? That idea that you're very enigmatic, you can be the life of the party, you're the fun one. You know what I mean? You can carry a conversation. People are naturally attracted to you, you're enigmatic, all of these things. Well, it feels like something has knocked that. Or how do we show up? Like, yes, we know that we can be that, but is that giving you what you need, right? Being that person or showing up that way, being the life of the party, is that giving you what you need? Are you seeking out connections or developing connections that matter to you? It feels like there's something here about how you navigate and what kind of face you put forward here that isn't working, and that Spirit has come in and said, okay, we're done with this in this way, right? And challenges you to look beyond what you've been doing currently. And that Seven of Cups kind of speaks on, okay, well, where do we go from here? Right? I don't know. This is, too much. It's too much all at once. What do I do? Also this idea of fantasizing, this idea of okay, this didn't work for us, and so now we're going to back away and, think about, kind of get lost in fantasy land, right? Well, this didn't go exactly how I wanted it, but in my head, it's like, why can't it just be like this? Why can't everything just be like this? I saw this movie once where this person did this thing and it worked out so great for them, but then I did that and it didn't work out so great for me. So maybe I need to go to the next thing and it'll work out great, or I need to go to this or to that. You know what I mean? Just this idea of not being satisfied, or expectation constantly not meeting reality. And so again, it speaks on, well, what are we giving to? How are we showing up? Why is our reality disconnected from what our expectation is? Do we need to change our expectation? Are we looking to others to fuel what we should be fueling inside? That, all of these things, right? And it just feels like the focus is on true connection, and something's not hitting the mark. Because what we're giving to ourselves and what we're allowing ourselves to receive is not hitting. And so it feels like we need to look within in order to see what's not hitting and be intentional about it. Almost force ourselves to act in a foreign way. Interesting. Let's take a look at that Ten of Cups in reverse. I'm wondering if there's pressure, like you put pressure on yourself and then thereby pressure on other people to live up to your expectations. But there's always I wonder if there's always a letdown. And I wonder if that's what this Ten of Cups is kind of speaking on as well. No, we're not getting anywhere here. All right. Thank you. There we are. Excuse me. All right, so for that Ten of Cups in reverse, we have the Four of Wands, Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and the Star, along with that Seven of Swords in reverse. Yeah, so again here, this idea, Seven of Swords in reverse. We're not... Virgo had the Seven of Swords in reverse as well, and it didn't feel like, actually it was a little bit different. But it kind of, this idea that's similar is that there's an understanding that not everyone is out to get us. And perhaps you were really hurt in the past, and so you keep certain aspects of yourself guarded. But, and this is just, bear with me here. We keep aspects of ourselves guarded, but we expect people on the other side of that to give to us and give to us and give to us of their true self and be authentic and honest and all of that. But when we feel that they're being inauthentic or not sharing as much as we want them to, we're let down. But could it be that they're not giving as much as we want them to because we are not giving? There's a wall between how much we give and how much we expect others to give. Right. It's that kind of dynamic that I'm seeing here is like what we're speaking on, okay? That there's a certain expectation, but that we constantly are being let down because we are refusing to be as vulnerable as we are expecting the other party to be. That kind of idea, okay? And with the Hermit in reverse, 3 of Cups, Ace of Cups, Strength, 6 of Cups here, and again, that 5 of Cups, it's almost like the time has come to do something we've never done before and connect in a way and be open in a way that maybe we haven't been before. And truly be open to giving as much as we're open to receiving with a whole heart, right? And so that's kind of the vibe of that 7 of Swords. What I'm seeing here as it relates to this 10 of Cups, you want to live a whole life. You're saying it doesn't take much. I don't need much. But also what you've been doing hasn't been aligned to what you want. And so maybe it's not that 10 of Cups, that what you've been after isn't what's meant for you, or that you need a more practical approach, or, whatever. But maybe it's realizing that the 10 of Cups happy ending that you see in your mind isn't reality. Because a 10 of Cups is imperfect. We can't expect perfection in an imperfect world. We are not perfect. If you have a partner, loved one, friends, family, whatever, they are not perfect. They will never live up to that perfect ideal. Not fantasy. So how do we break that fantasy down and be happy in real time and be satisfied in real time? And it feels like part of that component for you, Libra, is being vulnerable and letting a barrier or a wall down in a way that perhaps you haven't yet, because you're scared to do so. Oh. Interesting. Let's take a look at 10 of Cups, 4 of Cups here. Or 8 of Cups, 4 of Cups. Did I say 10? There we go. All right. 8 of Cups, 4 of Cups. We have the Queen of Cups, Page of Pentacles, the Emperor, and 5 of Swords in reverse. And again, I'm just taking a look in the shadow because I can. Yeah, it just really feels like putting yourself out on a limb here, in a very different way for you than what you're used to. Making the conscious decision to be a little bit more open than normal, right? Like I said, it feels like, you're the life of the party. You have no problem putting yourself out there. But it's, the vulnerability component, I feel, goes along with that there. And I feel like that's part of the hesitation that we have, is we don't want to be vulnerable. But there's a strength in that. And I feel like you're coming to an understanding of that aspect here. and really trying to figure out a way to approach life in this way, right? This idea, and it might not be like a new thing, but a new perspective here. And it's so scary because we're going out and we're allowing that I'm hearing like allowing ourselves to be judged by others for being our true authentic self, right? There's a vulnerability in that. Not everybody's going to like us. Perhaps we're not going to be the life at every party, right? If we truly acted from our heart center. And that's okay. There's different strokes for different folks for that exact reason, right? So coming in here to your clarifiers for the 8 of Cups, 4 of Cups, we have the Queen of Cups, Page of Pentacles, Emperor, 5 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, it's, so we have pretty every element represented here. Emperor being wand energy. It's almost like understanding your boundaries, understanding your expectations, understanding that vulnerability, right? Exposing your cup, right? Showcasing who you are, what you have, and understanding that there's strength in that, and that we don't have to well, we don't have to be offended when people don't align or people don't like us. We don't have to be offended when a joke doesn't land. We don't have to be offended when things aren't going our way. We don't have to be on when we're not feeling it, just kind of this idea of presenting your cup in an honest and authentic way, and that being and standing from that space, right? Like not curating your personality, not curating who you are, just being who you are, kind of idea. Interesting. Let's go ahead and see what else Spirit has to say here. Ace of Pentacles, a new opportunity is coming for you here. Oh, that's a lot. Ace of Swords, there we go. Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. So yeah, some new opportunity here, perhaps a new door opening that allows you to take on, a new perspective for yourself. Honestly, it feels like a new identity. Truly, Queen of Wands here. Yeah, again, speaking on that life of the party, right? You're a leader. But just doing it from a place that is more rooted to your authentic self, not the showman that you can be. The Star here, yeah, again, this idea, what do you really want? How are you really fulfilled? How are you living a life how are you building a life that is important to you, of value to you? What are you giving to, right? You don't need to be the life at every party. 7 of Cups, 5 of Cups, this idea that reality doesn't live up to expectations, and why is there such a disconnect there, and understanding, or perhaps reinventing that star, or reinventing your route to get there. Ace of Cups, so a lot of the aces coming up for you. 10 of Pentacles here, some sort of cycle fulfillment here coming to an end. Ace of Cups, new emotional fulfillment, right? And again, that idea of there's a strength in vulnerability there, is what I'm seeing for you. 2 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles, the Devil, Justice. Yeah. Some wisdom is coming through. Perhaps for some of you, you've leaned on vices for, for security, for stability, for safety, and how do we move beyond that? For others of you, perhaps like so stubborn, right? Again, 2 of Swords, right? But the imagery here and here is different. She's ready. She's interacting. She's engaging. She doesn't need to see. She can sense without seeing, right? She's taking direction. She's of purpose. She's directing her energy. She's directing her perspective, right? Whereas here, there's no stance. Let's see what else Spirit has here. Castle, it's time for healing, not war. Yeah, we're all just stardust, right? We're all different. We're all different. But the common goal is, we want to feel loved. We want to feel validated. We want to feel important. We want to feel confident, right? And a lot of those things, we want to feel like we're relating to the people around us. Think first before you judge. Yeah, and perhaps part of this is a judgment component, right? Virgo had this as well, this idea of being a little bit too judgmental here, and that creates a barrier between us and other people. And that stops us from letting them in. That stops them from wanting to come in, right? When we all crave connection. We all crave connection. Slow down and celebrate yourself. Lighthouse, don't doubt your worth. Yeah. And I wonder if you struggle with getting your worth from that showman personality, persona. I'm not going to say personality, I'm going to say persona, And it's how do we connect to more than that? How do we let our vulnerable side out and know that maybe not every joke is going to land, and that's okay. Sun. Paint the sun back in your sky. Red. Forgive. Yeah, forgiveness is a big one. And perhaps somebody really did hurt you, right? And just because we forgive somebody doesn't mean that we need to reach out to them and say, hey, I forgive you. You can forgive them and let that go into the light, right? And clear that space that person or that situation has been you've been carrying in you, right? When you release that, you give it back to the light, you open yourself up for something else. Stars, you can manifest your every wish. Yeah, you can. I think it's just a matter of making that happen for yourself. I am a free person living in a world that is a reflection of my own love and understanding. I am free and at peace. You most certainly are that. Everything I do is a choice, so I am in control of my reality. The thoughts I choose to believe right now are forming my experiences. I now listen to what I say and do not say anything that I do not want to become true for me. Libra, it's always a pleasure reading for you, and I'm so excited to see how this unfolds for you in the new year. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. You take care.